Okay, so now we'll take a look at another example that uses a constructor. This is a real estate example. So let's say we've been hired by a realtor to write a program to track their home listings, the real estate listings for the website or something like that. So I have a class called Real Estate Listing, okay? And the attributes I've chosen are the MLS number, that's like a identifying code that realtors use for the properties for sale, a description, the number of beds, the number of baths. Notice I did a float on the number of baths. That's typical, like in real estate listings, you might have 1.5 baths, or, like a half a bath is, just a toilet and a sink without a shower, something, something like that. So you can have fractional baths. And then the list price is, of course, a float. So here's a constructor. Okay, remember, this is how you spot a constructor a mile away in Python. 2 leading underscores in it, and then 2 trailing underscores. Remember, self. Always start with self when you have a class function. Okay, it's always self. Even with just kind of the run-of-the-mill functions, the printing function, it still has the self parameter. Okay, self refers to the current object for which this function is being called. Okay, so I'll circle back to that. But anyway, so we have self, and then I have the various parameters. Okay, and then, recall that the job of the constructor is to initialize the attributes, the object's attributes with meaningful data at the time the object is being created in memory. Okay, so that meaningful data, the MLS code, the description, the beds, the baths, those meaningful data items are going to come and land in these parameters, and from there, one by one, we dump those values or copy those values into the attributes, the object's attributes. Okay. Note the use of self as well in the syntax. Okay. So let's take a look at the creation of the first object, which I'm calling R1. That's important. I'm calling the first one R1. Putting in a call to the constructor and passing it what it needs. It needs the MLS code. It needs a description of the property. It needs the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms. It needs the list price for the home, okay? Let's see the constructor here. So who's coming through the door? Self is R1. We're calling this constructor in the name of R1. MLS is the MLS code 1234, whatever. The description, it's like a Palm Springs mid-century home. 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, $2 million, whatever I did. Those meaningful data items land in the parameters, and one by one they are copied into the attributes, the object's attributes. So now R1 is rolling off the assembly line, so to speak, fully loaded, ready to go. Okay? Good. All right, so then we have R2, similar mechanism here. We have the MLS code, the description, so on and so forth. That comes up to the constructor here. Self is R2 in this case. We have the MLS code, we have the description. This is the New York City penthouse. We have the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the list price, and then one by one those are copied into the attributes for that object, R2. Okay, and then finally I'm just going to print the record. I do have that print record function embedded into the class. Okay, so these real estate objects are capable of printing themselves, their own content, their own data. And so I'm going to call upon that print record. So R1, print record, what happens? Self is R1, right? We're calling this function in the name of R1, the R1 object. And so when I say self.MLS number, R1's MLS number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever, is going to be, printed there. R1's description, the mid-century modern Palm Springs oasis, is going to be printed there. R1's number of bedrooms, 3 bedrooms, and so on, okay? And then I'll call it for R2. So here's the output here. It's nothing special, but you can see that each real estate record is being printed one at a time through calling that function.